When my mother was a child, an Indian agent came to my grandparents' house and told them that they could no longer speak Anishinaabekwe to their children. And in doing so, many of my aunts and uncles, and my mother included, lost the ability to speak Anishinaabekwe. I cannot speak for my aunties and my uncles. I can only speak to what my mother has shared, and that is that it is one of her biggest points of pain. And the reason that it is one of the biggest points of pain is that Anishinaabekwe is not just words, but they convey emotions and feelings. And so when you're trying to say something, the English language can't translate it because there is emotion written into the language. And I think that's the point of pain, is that ability to emotionally convey was stolen. So not only were the words stolen, but the emotions behind the words were also stolen. And I think that that is a large point of pain for many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people in Canada. Personally, not knowing the language comes with an immense sense of shame. It's not my shame to own, but it is shame nonetheless. I listened to Shane introduce himself in his language, and it's beautiful to me. And I look forward to the day that I can, call Shane up one day and introduce myself in Anishinaabekwe. And I really hope that that day comes for me, because I really would like to reclaim the language, if not for me, then for my mother, and not for my mothers, and for my aunties and uncles, and if not for my family, then for my grandmother, who, I love sharing this story. A few years ago, my Auntie Tilly gave me my grandmother's craft box, which is huge because my grandmother was this beautiful crafter, and I'm so blessed that I have her crafts. And in this craft box were all of these mini cassettes. I don't know if y'all remember those mini little cassettes. So I hunted down a mini cassette player. And I was so desperate to hear her voice. I just thought, please just let her voice be somewhere on this. It had been 20 years since I had heard it. And I listened to all of these tapes. There's about 8 of them. And I listened to dead air for hours and hours and hours. And on the very last tape, on side B, at the very end, I hear my grandmother say, "Hello, Ani." And she starts speaking in Anishinaabekwe. And so I took this tape to a language speaker, and I was like, "Can you please tell me what my grandmother's talking about?" And in this tape, my grandmother is recording a community meeting on language preservation.
Wow.
And she's talking about how can we restore the language back into the youth and to the younger. So I would love to learn it. It is a point of pain that colonization has brought for me personally and for my family, I think. And I would love to be able to embrace that and be able to, because I still speak to my grandparents every day. So I would love to surprise them one day and talk to them in Anishinaabekwe.